Why are you marching out here today against the war?
So we want to end it. It's the longest war in American history, and it's a shame, and it's an embarrassment, and it's foolish. So people are against it. This is a democracy. Let's end it. Amen.
Stop the war in Afghanistan. What the heck are we fighting for? 7, 8, 9, 10. Stop the war in Afghanistan. 1, 2, 3, 4. What the heck are we fighting for? Stop the war in Afghanistan. 1, 2, 3, 4. What the heck are we fighting for? 7, 8, 9, 10. Stop the war in Afghanistan. 1, 2, 3, 4. What the heck are we fighting for? Welcome to End the Afghan War Rally. It is for everybody here, I think, an embarrassment. Shameful that we need to be here. To have spent 10 years in a war in Afghanistan, the longest in U.S. history, with no sign of it coming to an end, is a disgrace. Let me check the mic. I'm Ed Flaherty. I'm the president of the local Veterans for Peace, and I'm also on the board of Peace Iowa. Why should we want to stop this war or any war?
War is immoral.
Amen. And at the end, we'll talk a little bit about what we might be able to do to stop it. But there are the moral reasons to stop the war, the ones that we should all be acting on. This war is inhumane. You know, we've had, you know the numbers, 1,800 U.S. service personnel have been killed, tens of thousands wounded, more hundreds of thousands with the invisible wounds of PTSD and traumatic brain injury. The Afghan civilians have suffered, villages have been destroyed, tens of thousands of people have been killed, hundreds of thousands are homeless. The economy of Afghanistan is in a shambles. This is after we've been there 10 years and have spent trillions of dollars on our war on terror. If it were moral reasons alone that could stop a war, maybe wars would never stop. This particular war should have ended long ago because it's stupid.
Yeah.
President Obama, or candidate Obama, said during the campaign, he said, "I'm not against all wars, but I'm against dumb wars." How can you describe a war that's gone on for 10 years into its 11th year, that's cost $300 million a day, that we have no idea of what victory would look like, no idea of when it would end, depending upon what general you want to talk to, it'll last another 2 years, 10 years, or for the rest of this century. By any definition, this is a stupid war.
Yay!
Obama's a fraud.
Ron Paul is it?
Just the fact that it's stupid is not enough to get the American people to stop it. The war is way too damn expensive. It's hurting us all in the pocketbook. Since 2011, what the U.S. economy has spent on this war on terror is somewhere between $3.7 and $4.3 trillion. By any standard, it's absurd. And why we would think of continuing it is even more absurd. The first year of the war cost $21 billion. Now 10 years later, it costs 6 times that much. Iowa Cityans spend more on the Pentagon budget than they do on their own city budget. This year, about $75 million from Iowa Cityans is going to the Pentagon, about $52 million to the city budget. Ludicrous. The next speaker, Jeff Cox, brings 2 distinctive viewpoints to this conversation. One, because of his expertise on the history of Afghanistan, and the other on a particular suggestion that he has in terms of how we might influence in the political realm a change.
I'm a history professor, and I told Ed that I would not talk 1 minute more than 50 minutes. Yeah. You're right. Oh, was it 5 minutes? Maybe it was 5 minutes. I'm also here in my capacity as coordinator of the Iowa Healthcare Not Warfare Caucus campaign. And, you know, one of the worst things a president can do is to send troops off to fight an unwinnable war that doesn't have the support of the American people. It's one of the worst things a president could do. And that's what President Obama did last summer when he decided to have a surge in Afghanistan. Taking advice from Generals Petraeus and Bristol, they said, we'll knock the Taliban out. We'll win the hearts and minds. 30,000 troops with him, 3,000 of them taken out of their homes in Iowa. They're all back now, or he's beginning to withdraw, but the Iowa troops are back, with at least 5 dead and 100 in rehab, as far as we know. It's a little hard to find out the figures on this, or how many orphans have been created. But the Taliban is stronger than ever. If Generals Petraeus and Bristol had known anything about the history of Afghanistan, they would have known it, but they don't. They don't know anything about the history of this war is not going to end just because the surge failed. We now have a drone war going on in which this is straight out of 1984. It's an unending war fought by remote control, not only in Afghanistan, but in Pakistan, in Yemen, in Somalia, with no clear definition of victory. And do you know what the military unit is that they're attacking in those countries? It's the household. That's what the drone bombs land on. They land on houses because that's where the militants live. And what that means is that every week our drones, guided by TV screens in Nevada, are burning little girls alive, mutilating little boys, and crushing elderly couples to death as they lie sleeping in their beds with no end in sight. So we need, I think, to do something about this. I got a card here from Veterans for Peace. It says, what have you done today to stop the wars? Well, you've done one thing today, you're here, right? Yeah. We need to keep speaking up on this war. Another thing you can do is join Veterans for Peace and support Ed Flaherty in his great work to stop the war. Ed has been relentless in speaking out, and we really all owe him. One thing we can do is speak out. And finally, there will be another opportunity to speak out at the Iowa caucuses. We're asking people to agree to go to the Iowa Democratic caucuses and support an uncommitted slate of delegates that are committed to getting our troops out of Afghanistan within 12 months of President Obama's re-election. And I hope you'll sign up and consider to come to your caucus, occupy the caucuses. They're a public, open space that you can go to, so take the opportunity to do that if you can. Thank you.
Thank you.
the war is not good for you and me. It is good for a very few people. And ultimately, if the war goes on another 10 or 20 years, it may never be decided, but it will enrich many, many, many people down the way. So it has to be stopped, and the Occupy Wall Street, Occupy Iowa City movement is in tune with everything that's been said here today. There were a couple things I wanted to say in closing. One is a quote from Brian Wilson, who was a Vietnam veteran who lost his legs after being run over by a train as he was resisting arms going to the Contras in Nicaragua back in the 1980s. He's still around. He's speaking with exquisite heart and mind. This is a quote annotated. My hope is that today we'll begin a new era where people every day realize that we, the people, are the ones that are going to make peace. And today, the National Office of Veterans for Peace issued a statement that there is yesterday and today going on in Washington, D.C. to accompany what's going on in New York City and San Francisco and Minneapolis and Iowa City, a movement that is being led by Veterans for Peace. Part of the Veterans for Peace statement goes as follows. Veterans for Peace enthusiastically joins the thousands in the streets of D.C. and New York and hundreds of other locations nationwide, willing to confront the gears and levers of the apparatus to make it stop, to create a new world for the next decade and beyond. Thank you very much. Thanks very, very much for being here. And mark down on your calendar that we're not going to do this next year because the U.S. troops are going to be home.
We're home.